We got a load of dingoes in for another rental yard here in town. It's kind of like one we did last year where we receive all these machines and we just set them up, check them over and do an inspection, and then we take them and deliver them to that rental store, and we get a little bit of commission for doing that. It works out pretty good. We've got it down pat. The inspections on these things, Shelton can really do them and not miss a beat. There's an app that we use, I think we've shown it in the past, called Fast Field, and what that does is it's like a checklist that we go through on each machine to make sure that all the hydraulic lines are tight, it's not missing bolts and fasteners, and function test everything and make sure it's all working good. So we got to do that to these 4 machines we just unloaded and get the buckets on them and get them delivered as soon as we can. It'll probably be later on this week before we can get that done. Today's Friday, but by the time you see this video, I'm guessing we'll deliver those like Monday or Tuesday. So I'll flip the camera around, show you a couple of these machines that we got unloaded. We'll talk about them. Whoop, there we go. So when I set these buckets down, they kind of tipped over because they weren't really sitting on a pallet, so ignore that. They're wrapped up pretty tight in those boxes, so I'm not worried about that. But we've got 2 1000 turbo wide tracks, the new model, and then 2 TX700 narrow tracks here that this rental store purchased to put in their rental fleet. Quite a few of the rental yards around here run only the Toro Dingo. There's a dealer-owned rental fleet program that's pretty good for rental stores. They can buy directly from Toro. Usually they ship to a dealer who sets them up and then delivers them. And then any warranty or any extra type of parts that they may need, they can get from the dealer, but they also have the option to order parts at their cost directly from Toro. So for those rental fleets, it works pretty good. And we're happy to help them out with it, because anytime we can keep spreading the name of Toro Dingo around, that's better for us. Okay, so it's been quite the week between the extreme cold. We got wind chills like -20, -30. Didn't get a whole lot of wind, or I'm sorry, got some wind, didn't get a whole lot of snow. Anyway, we were kind of all stuck inside for a while. We closed down all day Wednesday. The equipment just was not going to cooperate in those extreme cold temperatures, and there wasn't going to be any activity at the counter, so I decided to close the place down Wednesday, which I guess turned out good for me and my family, because we all came down sick. Starting Tuesday, the littlest one, Jace, was sick. Wednesday, the other brother was sick, and then Thursday I got sick, and we're all fighting the flu and cold and the high temperatures and nasty bug going around. So we've all been fighting that all week. Today's the first day. Today's Saturday. Today's the first day that I've really felt better at all. And so I come out here to the shop today to kind of just get out of the house, get some fresh air, see where I'm at on these projects that I've kind of spaced out for the last couple of weeks. We got a wiring harness here we're working on for the LS engine in my off-road buggy crawler project. I think we've talked about briefly. It's over here on the lift. Tore out the 3-liter V6 and we're dropping a LS engine out of a 03 Silverado in it. We've got the S10 headers on it, turbo 400 behind it, and so we've done some hacking and cutting away and getting that to fit. We made some motor mounts for it. I bought the brackets for the engine side and just built the plates myself on the frame side. It was just easier to do it that way. And some other clearancing and fitting going on underneath. There's a lot to do left on this. But anyway, so I'm kind of out here today looking at what we got going on with this wiring harness. A toolbox out of a truck bed that somebody asked me to try to do some welding on this backside. There's some cracks. I ran out of argon, so I didn't get that finished. And then the big part of the project for the buggy truck project thing, we've got the transfer case. So it's an NP205. It was originally a 10 spline input. Output front shaft. We're changing that over to the 31 spline, if I remember right. It doesn't really matter what the output is because we've got a doubler kit and underdrive that we're putting on that, along with the adapter to the 400. So this will be a true 4-to-1 gear ratio or gear reduction. I don't really know what the ratio will be. It'll be low, which will be just what I need for crawling. So I forget what the spline count is. I've only torn into one NP205 transfer case before, so it's not like I have all this stuff memorized. Still kind of learn as I go. I know the basic idea of how it goes back together. Planetaries work with sun gears and idlers and whatnot. They're not terribly complicated. I'll pull up some diagrams and probably watch some videos to help me. But anyway, we had to get the case machined to accept a larger bearing. Instead of 80 mil bearing, it goes to a 90 millimeter bearing for the larger shaft that we have in that box right there. So anyway, that's kind of what I got going on today. Got a mess. That's what we got. Maybe we can make heads or tails of it. Jason and I are out here today. We decided that instead of being stuck in the house or stuck in the shop, we wanted to make a little progress. So, what are we gonna do, buddy? Tell.
We're gonna cut down some trees.
We're gonna cut down some trees for what? Start building our shooting range?
To start building a new shooting range.
Yeah. You're still a little stuffy, still a little sick, but I think it's going to be good for you to get out and get some sunlight. So, I'll flip this camera around. This is kind of a back corner of our property that we were running some hogs in. We did a little experiment of having some hogs that we raised for butcher, and it went okay, but they were just so destructive and time consuming. We've got these old pens here, some old shelters back there in the midst of these trees, and then we had them also where they could kind of free graze out here in and amongst these trees. Well, all these trees are dead. We had the neighbor guy spray them about 2 years ago because I knew that eventually I wanted to tear all these down. So we're gonna start on that today. It doesn't really matter if we make a big muddy mess and we tear the ground up back here, unlike some of the other projects that I have going on, like building that deck. So we're gonna get some of these trees torn down, pile them up all the way in the back. We'll eventually get some fill dirt brought in. There's plenty of free space to shoot back that way. It's probably a good 500 to 700 yards to the creek. And then, gosh, I don't know, maybe another quarter mile or so from that creek to the highway. So we've kind of got some room we can shoot just as is into the trees, but I still want a backstop. So we're gonna start tearing these trees down. We'll get a little time lapse going, and we'll see if Jace can cause some destruction. You think you're gonna be able to tear some trees down? No? Why not? You can drive the skid loader. All right, well, let's set it up and let's see how you do. Watching where we're going? Camera turned. Where'd you go? Okay, here's where we're at after about 2 hours of work. It is a muddy mess. I can't really smooth it out any more. We gotta let it dry out before we can clean this up anymore. The mud just won't cooperate. But we've got a bunch of trees cleared. Raven got to play in the mud. We stacked up a bunch of stacked up all of those trees back there in the back. It's not really a good shooting berm, but it will form a base for hauling dirt in here and piling dirt on top of that. And as the trees and everything starts to break down, we just keep adding more and more dirt to keep building the berm up. My idea is that we'll have a berm across the back of our property line there to this corner that's back in here, and then we'll run a berm up this way a little ways. And I'm going to leave those trees that are there for kind of some obstacles to shoot around or to set up different shooting courses in those trees. We'll have all of this as open shooting lane. You can either shoot handgun from various different distances, or if you turn, you can shoot and move that trailer out of the way. We can go clear up to the house up there. It's going to be pretty hard to see. But we can go clear up to the house and shoot down here and get almost 200 yards. So, should be a fun little shooting area. Got a lot more cleanup to do. Still got to make some target stands and get some dirt on top of all those trees so we don't get a bunch of ricochets. I don't think we will with the calibers that we're shooting, but it's better to be safe than sorry. So we'll get it cleaned up and we'll show you some more as we progress through it. Good Monday morning, everybody. Today we are dingo delivering. We've got three. These back three over here are rental commission dingos like we did last year, where we receive units, inspect them, check them over, register them in the Toro system, and then deliver them to another rental yard in town. We're very happy to do that. We've got a good relationship with the other rental yards, so it doesn't bother us at all. It's a good way for us to make sure these machines are ready to go in the field and put our little stamp of approval on them. And then this one here is going back to a different customer after some warranty repairs on it. So, like we've talked about before, no machine is free from defects. We're not afraid to admit that, and I don't think Toro is either. The fact of the matter is, Toro is excellent at taking care of issues on their machines, and they're excellent at taking care of the dealers who work on them. So, we're happy to report that all four of these machines are ready to go. 3 brand new ones. This one, warranty repair. We'll get all these delivered to their different locations today. Don't mind some of the chaining. I'm sure DOT wouldn't exactly love all of that. I did the best I could with the allotted amount of chains that I even have available right now. So if we get to hauling this many at a time in the future, we'll come up with something different, but for now, that will work just fine. So I don't know if I'll get a chance to record the drop-off of any of these, being at other businesses. I like to ask them people first before I just start recording on their property. And I'm sure they're all in a hurry to get to work, so I don't think we'll waste a lot of time doing that, but if I can, I will.